The corporate blueprint that basically runs modern life.
It's a blueprint that's what, 150 years old?
Exactly. We're talking about John D. Rockefeller. The system of wealth extraction and monopoly building used by, well, pretty much every massive corporation today.
Yeah, whether you're shopping on Amazon, searching on Google, or banking with JP Morgan Chase, the DNA of those companies traces directly back to him.
It really does.
So, to get us started, here's a paradox for you to think about. You're driving down the street, you see 4 different gas stations, HP, Indian Oil, maybe Reliance,
Right.
and the price is almost identical. A penny here, a penny there. We're told it's a free market, so why isn't anyone trying to actually compete on price?
Because what you're seeing isn't real competition, it's consolidation. It's a highly coordinated system where everyone benefits by not rocking the boat too much.
We saw this play out perfectly in India's telecom sector back in 2016.
Oh, the Geo launch.
Yeah.
A classic case study.
Absolutely. They come in with free calls, free data. Everyone thinks it's a gift. But within a couple of years, 10-plus operators, Vodafone Idea, Docomo, Unionor, they're either gone or forced into these massive mergers just to stay alive.
And that free data wasn't generosity. It was a weapon. It was the price he was willing to pay to clear the field of all rivals.
And that exact tactic, using overwhelming financial power to just crush your rivals, that's the core of the playbook developed by John D. Rockefeller.
A man whose personal fortune, at its peak, was over $400 billion in today's money,
Wow.
which was about 2% of the entire American economy at the time.
But the money, as staggering as it is, isn't the real story. It's the system.
Yeah.
The methods he invented.
That's our mission for this deep dive, to unpack that system step by step. We're going to show you how he built it, how he amazingly got even richer after his monopoly was broken up.
And most importantly, how you are still living inside the house that he built. Because every time you pay a bill or search online, you are interacting with a structure that started in the American oil fields 150 years ago.
To understand how he did it, you really have to look at his upbringing. It was so contradictory.
Right. His father was basically a con man.
A total huckster. He sold fake cancer cures out of a wagon. But, that gave Rockefeller an early education in ruthlessness, in manipulation.
And then on the other side, you have his mother.
A very strict, devout Baptist. She gave him this deep conviction that what he was doing, even crushing his rivals, was God's will. He believed he was bringing divine order to a chaotic industry.
That combination of moral certainty and pure ruthlessness, that's a powerful engine.
Unstoppable. So you have the Pennsylvania oil rush in 1859. Everyone is gambling, trying to strike it rich by drilling.
The classic boom and bust cycle.
And Rockefeller saw it as just that, gambling. Pure foolishness. He decided to focus on the one part of the business that was steady and absolutely necessary.
Refining.
Exactly. Refining crude oil into kerosene for lamps. He knew that no matter who drilled the oil, they all had to come to him to get it processed. The refinery was the toll booth. It always has a customer.
So that's where Standard Oil begins. But refining was still a competitive business. He needed an edge.
He needed an insurmountable advantage. And that brings us to the first pillar of the playbook, vertical integration.
We hear that term a lot. Let's break it down. It's basically controlling every step of your supply chain, right?
It's more than that. It's about eliminating any reliance on outsiders. And by doing that, you gain perfect knowledge of your own costs.
So, for example, instead of buying barrels from some other company for 25 cents,
He built his own factory and made them for 15 cents. He bought his own wagons, built his own pipelines, his own warehouses. Every single external cost, every layer of someone else's profit, he internalized it.
which gave him total control over his expenses. But the truly predatory move, the real killer app, was the deals he made with the railroads.
The secret rebates. This is where it gets almost unbelievable.
He wasn't just getting a discount on shipping.
No. He demanded that the railroads pay him money back after the fact, so his shipping costs were often zero. Sometimes he even made money shipping his oil.
While his competitors are paying full price.
Full price or more, and it gets worse. The deal required the railroads to give him all the shipping data on his competitors.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He knew exactly how much they were shipping, where they were shipping it, and what they paid. He had free shipping and perfect competitive intelligence.
That is just, it's genius. You know exactly what your rivals' costs are, and your biggest cost is zero. You can set your price 1 cent below their break-even point and just bleed them dry.
And their only option is to sell out to you.
Which brings us neatly to the second pillar, horizontal integration.
Right. So in 1870, Standard Oil is founded, and they've only got about, 4% of the refining business.
Just a starting point.
Exactly. The goal of horizontal integration is to eliminate every competitor at your level of the supply chain.
And this leads to the Cleveland Massacre of 1872, which sounds dramatic, but it was really just a brutal business blitz.
It was. He got all 30 of the Cleveland refiners in a room and gave them a choice. Not really a choice, but
Option A.
sell to me for a fair price. I'll even give you a management job in my new, bigger company.
And option B.
Refuse. And I will start a price war tomorrow that will bankrupt you.
And with his vertical integration and those secret railroad deals, he could afford to sell at a loss forever.
Much longer than they could. The result. In just 3 months, he owned 25 of the 26 refineries in Cleveland. By 1879, Standard Oil controlled 90% of all oil refining in the United States.
90%. But that creates a huge problem, right? Monopolies are illegal, and the public must have been furious. He was being called a robber baron.
Absolutely. The government was looking for a way to break him up, but the legal system at the time had a loophole. State laws. A company in Ohio couldn't legally own another company in, say, Pennsylvania or New York. So he couldn't just buy everyone outright across state lines. He needed a new corporate structure.
And this is where he invents the trust.
The Standard Oil Trust of 1882, a masterpiece of legal creativity.
So how did it work?
He had the shareholders of 34 different companies all transfer their shares into a single trust, which was controlled by him and his 40 closest allies.
So legally, you have all these separate independent companies.
But practically, you have one mind, one owner, one giant coordinated profit machine.
And that structure from 1882, that's the great-grandfather of the modern holding company.
It is the direct ancestor. Think of Alphabet owning Google, YouTube, Waymo, or Meta owning Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. It's the same principle. A central entity that controls legally separate companies to centralize power and confuse regulators.
And the playbook is just timeless. It's being replicated right now all over the world.
You just have to know what you're looking for.
Let's take Dhirubhai Ambani in India. People called him India's Rockefeller for a reason. He ran the vertical integration playbook perfectly.
He started with textiles, right? But then he immediately integrated backward.
He built the petrochemical plants to make the raw material for the textiles.
Then he built the refineries to make the raw material for the petrochemicals.
And then he went into oil and gas exploration to feed the refineries. Every single step controlled, just like Standard Oil.
And for the horizontal part, the Cleveland Massacre.
The GEO launch in 2016, it was the Indian edition. Free data and calls just obliterated the competition, forcing a market of a dozen players down to 3.
And of course, there's regulatory capture. And Ambani famously said, if the system has a problem, don't fight it, change it.
Rockefeller did the same thing, lobbying for rules and standards that only his massive company could meet, effectively regulating his smaller competitors out of existence.
But the craziest part of the Rockefeller story, the big twist, comes in 1911. The Supreme Court finally rules that Standard Oil is an illegal monopoly.
And they order it broken up into 34 separate companies. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, all born from this moment.
So you'd think, okay, this is it. He lost. The robber baron is defeated.
But that is not what happened.
Not at all. It was the opposite. He kept his shares in all 34 of the new companies. Before the breakup, a share of the unified Standard Oil was worth about $660.
And after?
After the breakup, the combined value of the shares in all the little baby standards shot past $900. He became fantastically richer after his monopoly was destroyed.
Okay, you have to explain that. How does that even work?
2 reasons. First, the regulatory risk was gone. The stock had been trading at a discount because everyone knew the government was coming. Once it was broken up, that uncertainty vanished.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second reason?
Specialization. A giant, bloated conglomerate is inefficient. When you broke it into 34 focused companies, one just doing pipelines, one just doing exploration, they each became more efficient and profitable on their own.
So the government, in trying to kill the monopoly, actually unlocked all this hidden value.
Precisely. And the final irony. Look today. Exxon and Mobil merged back together in 1999. Chevron bought Texaco. The fragments are slowly, quietly reassembling themselves. The system broke itself to survive and then just put itself back together.
Which brings us to the last piece of the playbook. The most sophisticated part, really. It wasn't about business, it was about image.
And influence. You're talking about philanthropy.
In 1913, he creates the Rockefeller Foundation with $250 million.
Which is billions today. And it had a dual purpose. The first was very effective tax avoidance. That money stayed under his control, working toward his goals instead of going to the government.
And the second purpose was more subtle.
Policy control. By becoming the primary funder for major universities like Johns Hopkins and the University of Chicago, he literally shaped the future of American medical education.
And there's a direct business link there, isn't there?
Oh, a huge one. The system he funded heavily promoted a pharmaceutical-based approach to medicine. This created a massive, long-term market for the chemical divisions of Standard Oil.
Which later became the modern pharmaceutical giants. So he's funding the creation of the very system that will become the biggest customer for his other businesses.
He was building the demand for his own future supply.
And this is now standard operating procedure for billionaires. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, the big corporate trusts. It's tax efficiency, it's reputation laundering, and it's a way to influence global policy at the highest levels. The playbook is fully codified.
So let's bring this all back to today. See you listening right now. This isn't just history. This system is actively running your life.
Take Amazon. Their vertical integration is just flawless. They have the store, the delivery network, and the secret weapon, AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Right. They make more profit renting out their computer servers with AWS than they do from their entire retail business.
Which means their biggest competitors, like Netflix, have to pay them rent just to exist. Amazon is the landlord for half the internet. It's the railroad rebate for the 21st century.
And horizontally, they buy companies like Whole Foods. But even better, they use the sales data from small sellers on their site to see what's popular.
And then they create their own Amazon Basics version and promote it above the original. It is the Cleveland Massacre, just automated and happening a million times a day.
Then you've got Google, under its holding company, Alphabet, the exact trust structure from 1882.
Google controls 92% of search. That is a bigger market share than Standard Oil ever had. But it's not a monopoly because it's free.
But you're paying, aren't you? You pay with your data. Every search, every location, every click, you're the product that they are selling to advertisers.
We see it in banking, in pharma. The holding company structure that makes banks too complex to regulate effectively, the regulatory capture where drug companies help write the laws that are supposed to control them.
So think about it. Over your lifetime, hundreds of thousands of your dollars, from gas to your phone bill to groceries to medicine, are flowing into these incredibly consolidated systems.
The choice you think you have is often an illusion. Both options are part of the same playbook, designed for maximum extraction.
Which gets back to Rockefeller's core belief. He said, competition is a sin. He didn't see monopoly as greed. He saw it as the natural, efficient end state of capitalism. The best system wins and consolidates everything.
So you can spend your life fighting that system, which is exhausting, or you can ignore it and just be passively extracted from.
Or there's a third way. You can understand how the game is played and position yourself accordingly.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought. If the entire system is designed to pool wealth into these massive dominant companies, the only real power is not in trying to escape it, but in owning it.
Rockefeller didn't fight the system, he became the owner of it. You can't really escape the infrastructure of modern life. But you can make a choice. You can be one of the extracted, or you can aim to be an owner of the extraction mechanism itself.
Now that you know how the 150-year-old game is played, you can never unknow it. And awareness, as always, changes everything.